It's back. Let's go.
Bgst, we're here. Thank you guys for rocking out with us live as always. A week down from E3, a lot of talk been going on. You know what I mean? I'm about to start the moving Xbox X, no parity. What's the nickname for the Xbox? Are we calling it Xbox One X? Or
I just call it the One X.
I call it the X, man.
I just call it X.
Yeah, X. A lot of goddamn X's there. So
Yeah.
X marks the spot, man. You know.
Hell yeah.
But a week down from E3, crap. You're more in tune than I have been the last week or so. What's the word around town?
The word around town is jealousy. That's the word. There's a lot of jealousy. A lot of people eating crow. A lot of people out there looking. a lot of people looking pretty stupid right now because what we have is the Xbox One X, the most powerful console ever created, headed our way, and games are going to look amazing. The whole thing where PS4 got, the better versions and was easier to develop for, that's done and gone. Developers are saying this shit's crazy. They're getting games on there in 2 hours time. It's going to be an amazing thing. Developers are strictly saying, according to Aaron Greenberg, they want their games showed off specifically on the X, no other console, because that's where it performs the best. I mean, the man said that. So, I mean, that's amazing to me. That's a game-changing thing, and I did a video about that today. Like, to me, developers going to Microsoft and going, damn, this is the hotness. We don't want any other console showing off our game. We want it shown off on this. That says everything. And developers want, well, for the most part, unless you got like some kind of backdoor cash grab going, want their game showed off the best they can be. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm a developer, I want that shit looking as best as it can be, and that's going to be on the X.
So I mean, I don't know. But I hope Tim pops in. I think I guess it'd be a little late. I would see what was the fans or the Xbox or whatever saying there at E3, because I've heard mixed reviews. Guess some people love it, some people hate it, some people are lukewarm.
What, the E3 or?
Well, just overall over the console.
Anybody that's played it loved it. I haven't seen anybody.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking about just people that have like I'll give you an example. All day, he was there at the Fan Fest. He loved it. 100, he loves it. You know what I mean?
And he's the most petty.
Yeah,
all day.
All day was the one trying to say that Sony won E3 or something, gave him a better grade, and we gave him 1,600 L's in the chat.
Yeah.
So I mean,
like it's overall, like I said, they've been mixed reviews. I mean, some people are still, I don't know why, or let down about the price, and they're still. Well, again,
not too many. It's the most wished product on Amazon right now.
I'm just saying, I say the vocal minority, people that we interact with.
Yeah. Well, there was always going to be some reason to hate it,
But so you have the narrative here where they're trying to say, well, there isn't a reason to get quote unquote the Xbox One X. Look, it's checkerboarding like the Pro, and it's $100 more. So why would you go out and buy the X? You know what I mean? That there I don't understand, because. And they still go back, I guess, like I said, the resolution. Resolution just doesn't give you better graphics. Even if they're both checkerboarding from 1400p or 1800p, the Xbox One X is going to have the better textures. You know what I mean?
Well, there's no way there's no way that they're both going to do that, like from the same resolution.
I'm just saying, just for shits and giggles.
You can look at the Assassin's Creed, right? Like, that's native 4K on the Xbox One X. I mean, it has a dynamic resolution. But that means that it just go down in some cases during some scenes. But whereas the PS4 Pro is not going to hit native 4K on that.
No.
And that's the big difference as well. Just everything's going to run much better on the X, and that's just how it is. Like, that's why they did this. I was watching a Phil Spencer interview, and he was talking about somebody kind of mentioned exactly what I said. They hated the fucking name Xbone. They made it so the goddamn acronym is just Xbox. That's genius. You know what I mean? You can't have anybody call it Xbox. Nobody's going to talk about resolution anymore. Like, the people are so busy worried about these other things in the right hand, they aren't looking at the left hand. They've totally changed the narrative. You can't make fun of resolution anymore. You can't call it the Xbone anymore. You can't say that it doesn't have the best multiplats anymore. They completely switched everything around and got people looking foolish, and it's hilarious. Like, we can sit back and look back and say, man, remember when those clowns were dogging 900p?
Yeah.
And now that stuff is just incredibly funny to me, because we've always said resolution doesn't matter to me. I just thought it was funny that other people brought that up as a point of contention.
Thank you.
And now all of a sudden it's not.
Right, it's frames per second all of a sudden, and then another win for Xbox is that they finally released their numbers, and they're not too far behind from the. I mean, they're at a distance, but when everybody was thinking it was 3-2 to 1, Xbox
people flipped out over that news.
Yeah,
huh?
36 point some million consoles.
36.2 million, and then like you would assume that ship would be into the 40 millions.
Right.
So you would that would put you maybe 20 million back,
right?
Which isn't bad. I mean, when you look at the PS2 domination over the Xbox and the GameCube, Xbox and GameCube had significantly less than that. So that would prove that the Xbox One is doing really well. And then when you have a situation where you have this super powerful console coming out, and the people are wanting this thing every day. When can I pre-order? They're building up that anticipation, that hype. They're playing just a tip. You can't pre-order that shit yet, but you can put it on your wish list. Let's see it. Let's see it. You know, next thing you know, man, when this thing goes live, man, everybody's gonna pre-order this fucking thing. I think that I predict this thing's gonna sell over 1 million this year.
Oh yeah. It's gonna do.
It's definitely
gonna do 1 million in November alone. Every shit. The original Xbox One.
And let me say this real quick to any of the PS4 fans that are making fun of it for whatever and calling it weak. If you're calling the Xbox One X weak, what does that make the Pro, which is like 40% weaker? You know what I mean? Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Use some common sense, people.
Yeah.
Well, yo, not for anything, guys. You knew at the unveiling, man, they could have shown like fucking golden pieces of hardware inside this thing, and it's like there's people are still going to damage control it. The one thing with Xbox is they said it, when it comes to making the game, it's up to the developer what they want to do, how they want to utilize the power. Z, man, what do you think about that move where they kind of don't mandate any kind of frames per second, or they don't mandate, them having to put that native 4K? Do you think that's a good move, dude?
Well, I you know what? In a perfect world, that's a good move. But what Sony's been doing, this generation, or rumored to be doing, you know what I mean? But here's the thing, and I guess not to piss off developers. If the console can do it,
the hell was that?
We got double Z there, man.
That was double Z.
If the console can do it, you know what I mean, and they know the consoles, and they know the developers are holding back for whatever reason, then maybe they should, hey, it has to be this, or whatever the case may be. And there's no way in hell that a graphically demanding game, whatever game it is, and not just take a shit on the Pro, that they should be neck and neck. And you know what I mean? And you understand what I'm saying? Like, if they don't just undercut the Xbox One X, because they didn't do that with the Sony this generation. They did. You went ahead games that were 1080p and 720p on the Xbox One that started this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, look, Call of Duty. Microsoft had the marketing deal. It was Call of Duty Ghosts. It was 1080p on the Xbox One. I'm sorry, 1080p on the PS4, 720 on the Xbox One. You know what I mean? That started the ball rolling. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Sony went in and pushed the mandate and say, hey, we want our game to be 1080p, or you know what I mean? I don't know. So no, it's fuck being nice. No, push the line. Our game has to be at a higher resolution, and we want the the 4K assets. It's a must.
Well, yeah, see, that's me and you are in the same ballpark with that. We know when it comes to the textures, the lighting, the shadows, like the best of the best when it comes to the console is going to be on the X. So when everybody's talking about, the price point, man, what do you think? Do you think 500 is a good deal, dude?
Yeah, again, to get into what we're getting now, I never had a problem with the price. I think $400 is cool. I just, I look like this. Like I said before, I paid $600 in 2006 for a PS3. I paid $500 in 2013 for an Xbox One. I paid $400 last summer for the Xbox One S. We're talking about the best graphics we ever seen make our face melt. Look at when the E3 starts, Metro. Look at Anthem. Look at Assassin's Creed. You know what I mean? Long as the games look head and shoulder above what's on the market, they shouldn't have a problem asking for it. But to me, that was the old shit moment. Like, that was like, you can tell the difference. And as great as goddamn Sony games were that they showed at E3, whether it be the Spider-Man or whether the God of War, those games looked amazing. But graphically, that was old shit. You know what I mean? And imagine what they're going to look like in person. Like, that was like, wow. You know what I mean? You know,
that's just the developers just now getting their hands on the tech. I mean, there was somebody that sent me a video, me and Tim, and I think someone else. I think it was you, Z. And there was this guy, this foreigner guy, and he was basically saying that there was a rumor going around that Ubisoft wasn't for what was it, Far Cry 5, that they don't have the dev kits for the X. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said, I'm not buying it. It's not. I think that's wolfing tickets, because how is it that you send dev kits to the Ubisoft division that has Assassin's Creed, and then but then yet Far Cry 5 don't get it? I mean, like, people just listen and they wait and they anticipate just any inkling of anything that sounds false, and then they want to project it into something that is totally not. Look, the one thing that all you got to listen to is to the developers and to the people like Digital Foundry and all those, that if they're going to debunk the X, they would have done it already. There has not been one developer. There's not been one, nobody from Digital Foundry, nobody that's in the know that says that this system is not capable. The only people that says it are the ones that sit behind a cubicle or wherever the fuck and have hatred in their heart for the X, or just for the Xbox brand, and they're the ones that's spreading this bullshit. Because we already would have been hearing devs coming out and saying, well, no, it's not as what we were thinking. I mean, just go back to look at that interview with the guy that made Ark, with Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley was trying his damnedest to try to make it sound like the PlayStation Pro was on the same level.
Yo, why did Keighley even bring that shit up? Because
I made my video last night with that, with certain clips in there that Phil was breaking down about the games aspect, frames per second, all of that. And Jeff Keighley got his face broke with anybody that's all associated with the PlayStation Pro side. But he was trying to say, hey, this is in the same realm. And the dude said no. And he was even going so far to say this thing it's not even in the same league as the X. And then Jeff Keighley cut him off. And so he said, so it's going to be 60 frames per second 4K? He says, yes. He says, we're not putting in, like console assets or something from the Xbox One and putting it into the X. We're taking PC assets straight from the PC with all this high-tech shit that they talk about and putting it into the X. That should tell you right there that system is legit.
Yo, I think somebody need to check Keighley ego, because, man, it sounded like he was trying to strong arm that dude at first, and yo, he all
kicks back. He's like, well, what about the Pro? And then he kicks back, and I was like, oh man, this guy right here. You know what I mean? Like, come on, you leak the fucking price, and then you try to like push your narrative of the Pro.
But who does he work for?
He just works for himself, man. I mean, I think he might have.
Listen. That's what you talk about. What we've been screaming for them about them being a bias in the media, right? And then to me, like, again, this is what he used. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. This is a hobby for us, and in turn, we make. And again, we may do what we do. We may make a few dollars of doing off our hobby, but this really pays the bills for my man here, right? And you're gonna let that level of your fanboyism, you know what I mean, to do what he did. And that's because that was very, very unprofessional. Of him leaking the price, you know what I mean? Because there's also, I don't know if it came from him, but there was a video they had on Twitter of Phil Spencer actually practicing around the world. The Xbox One is going to release at $499. Now I don't know if he leaked that or it came out later on, but that's
the rumor. And let me say this: the rumor, and again, this isn't fact. This is just the rumor. The word on the street is that Larry Herb leaked it to Jeff Keighley. And that's why a lot of people were like #fire Larry that Sunday, because apparently him and Jeff are pretty close, and he kind of leaked it to him. And supposedly Mikey Barra was super pissed, like super pissed.
Wouldn't you be though? Yeah, I'm saying, damn. And then
I mean, you had people like so pissed off at the price before the E3 show that nobody was willing to give the show a shot. You know. Everybody was just already pissed. Oh, this ain't worth $500. It's not worth $500. But hey, the Pro is, they can't do half the shit that can do. Come on.
Listen, that's what this is to me. Like I said, where the level of disconnect comes from, because like I said before, like, I'm not going to go back who said 500. This doesn't matter. But look at what we're getting. You know what I mean? 4K Blu-ray player. The best graphics that we ever had on a console. You know what I mean? 4K. You know what I mean? Like we getting 4K.
Well, dude, I mean,
HDR, like recording, you know, and stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah, 4K recording. It's like I know people try to damage control. A lot of PC people try to damage control, trying to build these. Oh, quick! If we get in the dumpster, can we get out some parts to make a $500 rig that runs as good, and let's conveniently leave out, you know, everything that else that it does. Like you said, man, there is no better value for what you're gonna get in the Xbox One, not PC, not another console. It's just not happening for that price. And when I say no better value, I'm talking about 4K capture at 4K 60, 4K ability to stream at 4K 60. Like you said, 4K Blu-ray player, HDR, a controller, all this stuff, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, let's say you could build all that shit for $1,200 on a PC. You still got to get an operating system, a controller, you know what I mean? A keyboard and mouse. You know, that's how it is. You know what I mean? Like, people just are unbelievably damage controlling it, and they look stupid. When people are like, oh, this thing sucks or whatever, they sound, I don't think they realize how dumb they sound. Like, really, there's no other word for it. You just sound stupid. Right. Anybody trying to damage control that this thing isn't a powerful console, then that's on them, man. And if you're subscribing to people, crap. Yeah, if you're subscribing to people that are running with that narrative that it's not a good console or a powerful console, then please, I don't know. There's nothing that can help you at that point, right? Look, they've made the most powerful console. It's super affordable at $500 because there's no other better value, and developers can port games to it in 2 hours, running at native 4K 60. Like, what more do you want? This is the easiest console in the world to develop for, the best console, the fastest console. It blows away the competition by 50%. What more do you want?
They don't want it in Xbox land, man. They don't want it with that Xbox like moniker.
Well, they could take that narrative and you know what I mean? Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Honestly, you don't want it, then don't get it. But we all know they're gonna get it.
Right. Yeah, they are. And that's what's the thing of it. That's what it really basically is. If you are a person that was all about power in the beginning of this generation, resolution was your shit, then what is stopping you from getting the most powerful console that's going to be available? Basically you contradicted yourself. Basically what all you did is just lied your ass off just to be a fanboy. I mean, because if you are a fan of power, then you would go to where the power is going to be. So either that you're going to get a PC, but if you aren't going to, you know, spend the money for a PC, the next best thing is to get the Xbox X. It's just that simple. So why would you complain about progress? Again, Xbox is innovating, and while all these other haters is just crying and bitching and waiting for PlayStation to do something, but I'm guaranteeing you this, PlayStation is still like a fat rat right now. We just seen their conference and how arrogant they were. The PlayStation 5 is not coming no time soon, so you're gonna have to wait for a little bit to watch and see how this Xbox X thrive. That's a fact right there. That is an absolute fact.
Well, that's what you saw. You saw there's Sony's E3 was only less than an hour long when you put it all together. Freaking what did Kraft say? 17 games compared to 42 on the Xbox side. Like, so the whole no games narrative is out the window. The whole power out the window. And we have people grasping at straws on social media. They're nitpicking on when a developer does something that Xbox is giving them the power to do. Make your game the way you want. They're like, all right, we're doing it this way.
Hey, I want to kind of correct you here. There were 17 things shown, only 15 games because 2 of those were DLCs. 6 were VR titles and 9 were re-reveals of games we already knew about. So yeah, I mean that kind of sums it up right there. I mean,
that fucking hurts. Like,
yeah, I mean, hey, if you're a platform holder, you're like, what the hell? Like, honestly, like for me personally, and bring up a bunch of games that nobody really bought at the beginning of the year that came out, like Yakuza and Gravity Rush 2 and stuff like that. Maybe there was a couple that people did buy, but when your big holiday games are Gran Turismo, watered down version, and Knack 2, come on. I mean, like that's bad. You know what I mean? Look, Gran Turismo Sport, 140 cars, 15 tracks. Is that acceptable at this point in the game?
Sony doesn't think it's acceptable either. They didn't even have it on their fucking.
Would you?
Shit.
Would you, dude? Come on, man.
Hey, if you're gonna put your name on it, and if it's gonna come out during the holidays, not for anything, you better have it on your stage. That's all I gotta say, man.
How the hell does the system that supposedly do not have Japanese games? They show more Japanese games than the company that is from Japan. How is that even possible? And then you got a new JRPG, which I thought it was all about the JRPGs. They didn't even show Nudie Cooney 2. They didn't even show it. They didn't even show it there. And what's other sad is that there was
we got him going. He clapping right now. Like,
no, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, what was the purpose of the show if you weren't going to show anything that was going to get everybody excited other than Spider-Man and God of War? Even Days Gone, you still hear some PlayStation fans say, it was okay. It wasn't my cup of tea. But to at least give a hint to show a little bit of The Last of Us 2 or the rumors of Bloodborne. Show something. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time and exciting the fan base. And for anybody that says that show was the absolute better show out of everything in the conference, you're lying. That's just a fact. You're fucking lying for real.
Yeah, I agree 110%. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lie.
What the hell is wrong with people?
Yeah, I mean, if Xbox showed a show like that, it would be Rip City. It would be Rip City. Not only but me too as well. Like that's trash. But and then lastly, what about the little guy? I thought PlayStation was all about the little guy this generation, about the indies. The indies are the ones that's taking gaming to the forefront. These content creators, all they want is just an opportunity just to get out there and to be shown. And PlayStation is holding them up in the air. And what?
Not anymore. They don't need them anymore.
No, nothing at all. Zilch. And then yet all these people out here talking shit about Xbox, bringing it back to the roots. Because remember, there was the only console that was actually putting indies out in full abundance was the Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. So now Xbox is going back to the roots, and everybody's like, oh, they're just a bunch of indies, a bunch of trash. I'm not worried about those games. Oh my God, man.
Unless I missed something, they didn't become indies until they said ID at Xbox, right? That's when it became indies, right? Or you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean, there was a lot of AA games. I guess that's what you call them.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying they're all triple. Listen, and again, I don't care for a lot of things that they show, but what I don't understand, this is not even me damage controlling, is that Microsoft got slammed for 2 years or so for not having those quote unquote filler, for not having those AA or A games. You know what I mean? What they said, here goes Sony, hit after hit. You know what I mean? Well, they were Sony was riding. They couldn't do no wrong. We had the Gravity Rush 2, the Yakuzus, and the Nihos and this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? Sony was being praised for this. I hear Microsoft show you 40 games, 22 exclusive, or however you want to spend it, and then they're. I said I think they're just damn it they do, damn it they don't. You know what I mean? Right. That's why
no doubt.
Yeah, no matter what Microsoft does, obviously
that's it again.
Sony. That's not good enough for people. Which is. It's pretty damn unfortunate in my opinion, because Microsoft is really just doing things a lot better than anyone else at this particular point. Just honestly, look, they're doing the backwards compatibility. They're doing shit that's never been seen before. Crossplay between two consoles. Mm-hmm. I mean, it might have been done before, but not on this level. I mean, multiple games now. Mm-hmm. Sony are holding back on that. They keep saying no. Like I said. Original Xbox backwards compatibility, 360 backwards compatibility, Game Pass, EA Access. I mean, they're literally just kind of taking a big dump on Sony at this point. It's not even funny. It's like Sony has meetings and they're like, how can we screw with people this time? Hey, let's see how far we can get these idiots to like follow what we say. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the joke right now. They're like, how much can we do to these idiots and still have them like clap like idiots for everything we show? Like that's I honestly believe that they
got bets going on within the office. Like, can we get away with this? Really? Just throw that out there.
Next year it's going to be a 25-minute E3, and they're going to be like, people are going to be like, I bet lots of people like Greg Miller are going to say we completely won. You know what I mean? Like how anybody would ever say that Sony won, I would never understand that, to be honest with you. Like honestly, that was probably like the worst E3 showing I've seen in a long ass time.
The PlayStation experience, not this past one, the one before that was the worst conference I've ever seen in my life. And next to it will be this year's PlayStation E3. It didn't, look. There was games that I wanted that I'm going to get. I'm going to get God of War, even though I'm still worried about that story. But still, regardless, I'm still getting God of War. Still one of my favorite franchises. You got turned on
Spider-Man too, man.
I got turned out by Spider-Man. Like, oh shit, I got to get it. The game might only be 6 hours long, but I'm getting it. It's dope. It sold me. Even Days Gone had me intrigued. That would definitely be a day one title for me. But then, like, you look at Monster Hunter, that's coming to the Xbox X. Let me just call it the X. It's coming to the X. It's going to look better. So I ain't going to worry about that. I mean, Shadow of the Colossus, dope game. It's fantastic. It looks great, but it's $60 with nothing extra to it. You mean to tell me that it's okay to gouge the fan base for a beloved title that, people was all excited about The Last Guardian, and then that $60 title was kind of like, people were like, I'll wait till it gets on sale. Well, then nobody didn't buy it. Then they finally dropped it to like $30. Then you're going to do the same stupid shit again and offer the older game, even though it looks better, in my opinion, still $60 with nothing extra to it. Like, that's a slap in the face to consumers. Like, you got to give something to the fans to say
it's a $60 remake?
It's $60, $59.99, man. I could not believe that. Like,
dude, we got the whole Master Chief collection for that price.
Exactly. So, like, how is that even possible? And the fact that there was another, and you got Crash Bandicoot coming, and that's going to be $60.
I think that's only $40.
I mean, it's gonna be $40. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
So you talking?
But that's a much better value, in my opinion. You get 3 games for $40 as opposed to 1 game for $60.
Yes, you got 1 game for $60. You get 3 games for $40. But then yet that game is not even going to be 4K, 60 frames per second.
Well, neither Spider-Man.
Yeah. So
those devs, Insomniac was just like, yeah, it's gonna be 1080, 30, and then they're using some kind of 4K. For the
I mean, so like that's crazy. And then also for that Uncharted. Now, if you got the DLC, from my understanding, for the Uncharted, then that Uncharted DLC is free.
You had to have like a certain kind of the DLC. Like I think if you had like the pass or something like that, I know I had it, but not everybody does. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, anyway, how much is that? Like $40?
Yeah, I think it's a full $40.
Yeah, it's $30 or $40. That's crazy for some DLC. That should be $20. Like, I mean, where's the consumer? Thank you for supporting this game aspect. It's not there. They're like, man, every time that they get a chance to gouge you, they get it, and people just say more. Slap the shit out of me again, please, Sony. Do it. Don't stop.
Do it harder.
God damn.
Harder.
Like, yeah. But then yet you get mad at backwards compatible games. But then you know what I'm saying? If you got those games in your catalog, those games are free. Game Pass, all of that shit is for the gamers. It's like thank you for still sticking with us. Sony don't do that. And then when you try to ask for something like that, they ignore you. They just do what they want to do. How is that even fair? How can you guys even keep saying that Sony is the best? Only thing you can say is the reason why they're the best is because of the fucking sales numbers. I mean, come on, guys.
You know that's their favorite exclusive, man. It's been like that for like what?
This whole thing. Resolution, now it's frame rates, and then they don't even talk about the games. I look at so many PlayStation videos just to see where their head's at. And like 10-15% talk about the actual games. If not, they talk about analytics and fucking numbers. That's it. Or talk about Xbox hate, or who's the individual El Mega or Crap Gamer or Zaire, whoever else are fucking frauds and shit like that. That's all of what their content is. They don't talk about any goddamn games.
Damn, triggered.
Yeah, no, that's it. No, hey, if I'm helping you get subs, that's fine. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? So when you get your little royalty, Blake, make sure you give L Mega his royalty check, because if you're getting views off of my name, you're welcome. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't playing these goddamn games. I know who you are. I'm watching you.
Hey, yo, I got a question for you. Hey, crap.
Yeah.
I take you back. We're gonna hop on this hot tub time machine, right? And I just did a video about this. I remember when did they release the video, whatever the case may be, for the Halo 5 beta and all stuff. But was it like 2014 or something or whatever the hell?
Yeah, they released you mean the where they counted the pixels and stuff?
Yeah, what year was that?
Oh shit, let me see the game. That was 2014.
Okay. Right.
Wait,
so
wait, no, that was 2015. It was early.
Whatever the case may be, but
yeah.
there's something that use some of the practices that Digital Foundry was doing. And I was bugging, like, how could you guys, take from it? Actually, it was even worse. They took it from a video that they showed. Whatever clip that Microsoft showed, they took it from there. You know what I mean? They didn't have their own little, because they took it from the actual video that Microsoft showed. And so the game was only running at 720p and all. So like I said before, we couldn't even enjoy our betas. Now here it is, Sony has their E3, right? And Sony said that every game that they showed was running on the PS4 standard, slim or whatever you want to call it, right? Cool, not a problem. All I'm saying is, to me, I think it's kind of funny that Digital Foundry has been MIA from putting Sony's same, their games up to the same scrutiny as they gave Microsoft's games, their exclusives at the start of this generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't Sony, and again, this is, I always said it was kind of stupid, but I don't see Sony exclusive.
Well, don't you remember how long it took them to test Killzone Shadowfall?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that should tell you all you need to know right there. And they were testing stuff basically off the TV and stuff like that at E3 as far as Microsoft goes. They were testing the Call of Duty game when Microsoft had marketing rights. The commercial, they tested that to get a resolution video out.
Commercial. They took the commercial.
Yeah, they took the commercial that was captured on an Xbox One and ran a resolution test on it. Because they, for whatever reason, and then they did the same thing with Sunset Overdrive at E3 that year. Yeah, they're like, it's only 900p, 30 frames per second, and people flipped out. 900p, 30. If this thing was on the PS4, it would be 1080 60, right? And now we know how fucking stupid that is, right? Because look, Spider-Man, 30 frames per second, kiddos, even on the Pro.
Yeah,
even on the Pro.
But my thing is, though, but where's the public outcry? They say no parity.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. Like I said, maybe I got the tinfoil hat on. Maybe I'm bugging. Maybe I'm looking a little too much of things. But you had God of War. And I seen that what they did no Days Gone. They talked over the demo. When Microsoft checked in, they had the numbers, the line where it dipped in frames. They're not putting Sony exclusives up to the same scrutiny. You know what I mean? Maybe Sony came out and lied, so everything was running on the standard, and this was running. I don't know what the hell's going on. Is there some type of collusion? I don't know what the hell's going on here, but it got me scratching my head. Like, damn, we about a week in or 2 weeks in and whatever, and kind of tight lip about these damn these 1440p games, whatever the resolution they run. They haven't said anything about it.
Well, yeah, it's so funny because Sony was like, yeah, Spider-Man's going to be 4K, true 4K or whatever, and they also said that GT Sport was going to be 4K. Yep. And nobody's brought up a word like, is it real
dynamic 4K?
Is it dynamic? Like, what's the deal? Because we know Forza Motorsport 7 is 4K, right? But we don't know, but we don't know about GT Sport. And that game, I would say lower the resolution on that game and get some decent graphics on it.
Yo, check this out. Yo, check this out. I got
15 maps, 140 cars, man. Give me a break.
Yo,
in 2017, the first Gran Turismo game releasing has 15 tracks and 140 cars. Think about that, right? Think about it. I think Forza Motorsport 5, which got a ton of shit as a launch title, had more content than that. Think about that as well.
Oh, yeah, it definitely did.
Think about that as well, folks. Yeah. It all comes around, folks. It all comes around. Come on.
Yeah. And then also think about this. Nobody haven't said anything about Detroit. That was a game that I was highly anticipating to look more, to watch more of because of that trailer last year. It looked epic. Didn't you see a significant downgrade in graphics?
I actually didn't pay enough attention to it.
Well,
Yeah,
I
fell
mean,
asleep.
well, it's what I like those type of games, because reminds me a little bit of
because you can sit back with the lady and hit
yeah,
that
sit back with the
every
lady,
once in a while.
Yeah, and say what decisions you want me to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to be a Mac Daddy. I mean, shit, if you got women in your life or a woman, whatever, you should understand this.
Yo, check this out. Yo, there is something I do want to say to the stables out there. Like when it comes to the games, like I said, the developers, Xbox is letting the developers do what they want to make their game. So when you do see a game that is going 1440 and doing whatever to upscale to 4K on the X, because it's the developer's decision, you guys need to, whatever God that you believe in, pray to him and say, thank you, Lord. Thank you so much that these devs are so fucking lazy that they're not putting like 2 hours time in to make it just go that much further on the X. Because guess what? The X can do it. All right. So when you see this shit, you're just seeing it from lazy developers. That's all you're seeing. Yeah.
Well, lazy developers or developers that's on the take, one or the other. But look, well, I'm just saying this. Okay, if the system is not even out, neither are these games out yet. And who's to say that these games don't get optimized by the time that these games, are launched, or afterwards? Maybe because of their marketing deal, they can't do anything. That they got their hands tied. But afterwards, like during that next winter, they might do something to where, like, hey, the definitive edition of this type of game with 4K, 60 frames or 30 frames, just all exclusive to the X. I think that those things will be implemented in those games. And probably also down the line, there will be developers that will give the options for probably 30 frames to 60 frames. But you can't knock Xbox or the X, the staff, anybody. It's up to the developers. It's developers that's the one that's making these things do what they want them to do. It's not Phil Spencer going in there with a fucking screwdriver and shit saying, well, I'm going to do this and twist it to where it's going to do that. He ain't doing that. What he's doing is, he made the box for them to make, and he has said that. Him and that staff has been saying that from the very beginning. So you can't blame the box. You blame the devs if you are that pissed off between the frames per second.
Yo, guys, if you don't mind, this dude in the chat, Mike over here, he was like, Crackdown 3 looks like a 360 game. One thing I got to tell you, dude, do you know what cell shading is? All right, because cell shading, look at Borderlands when they show Borderlands and stuff like that. It never looks impressive.
Sir, if Crackdown 3 looked like a 360 game, what the fuck did The Last Guardian look like? What does Nat 2 look like? What does Gran Turismo Sport look like? Get out of here, kid. Get out of here.
Send that shit to
Get out of here. You're done.
Where's it at?
Pack it in.
I got a question for you.
Let's be honest. The PS4 having the best looking graphics, those days are over. Anthem, a multiplat, is the best looking game I've ever seen. Just hands down. And the Xbox games that are going to come out on that, the exclusives like Forza 7, those games are just, you're not going to see that kind of fidelity on a PS4 ever. Like that shit's done. Like, so not only that, but Microsoft is probably done ever having the lesser console. They'll probably have a higher end console each generation. Like, that's just what they'll probably do.
No power greater than X, man. They brought that back from the beginning, and that's where they're going from here on out.
Well, there's something that I told you that I heard from a guy that knew a guy that fell off the truck, that when it comes to power, no longer Microsoft ever be outgunned again. But my question is to you, and I have a question. Shout out to my man Robert Ballou in the chat on Facebook. Let me ask you a question. Like, this is my own personal statement, but he has a question for us. Lawrence, he said, how come that when IGN reviews the multiplats, they only review the PlayStation 4 version? Because they had the better version, at the time? Or?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the game, too. Like, sometimes, I mean, it just depends on the game or the marketing deal, too, sometimes.
Well, that didn't stop them for, like, The Witcher. That didn't really make a difference then, did it? No. The Witcher.
Well, no, usually what it is, I heard from, this is what I heard from another YouTuber in one of his videos. Yo, shout out to Mooch for getting me to watch Rad Brad. And when these copies go out, when these review copies go out, a lot of times the company will send out the copy that supposedly has the most hardware out there. or whatever. So that's why a lot of the PS4 versions of the multiplats were going out. Now with the devs kind of like really putting their foot down and saying we want our game represented and shown on the X because that is the best version of our game. Now it's gonna get interesting. Now, like, I don't know where they're gonna go with that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That is.
Well, here's my stance. Maybe you guys may feel a little different. Me personally, I'm not buying any game or supporting any developer that's not going to support my new console. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now, I don't know what, like I said, I don't know, maybe they flip back on because I have been a little out of the loop with the whole Destiny 2 thing. You know what I mean? Where we at with that? Are they back on board or what were they originally?
No, they said they're not gonna focus on worry about the X until after post launch, and then they'll consider it or whatever.
And that's you know what? And that's, to me, they sound like their hands are tied. Like
they said they're not though, but I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's just bullshit. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
they did not wait. Mind you, with the game comes out in September.
Yeah,
September.
30th, 15th, or something. And the X what comes out 6 weeks later, a month.
November 7th. Yeah.
Now we're not talking about some little small indie farms. We're talking about Activision, the parent company, whatever the case, and they don't have no quote unquote Xbox One X dev kits. Like, come on, man. They're going to support the Pro, but you're not going to support the. And that's crazy as hell.
And they're going to support PC. They're going to have unlimited frame rates on that. So,
well, to be fair, Bungie has never made a 60 FPS game on a console before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about 4K with 4K textures and all that stuff. You know,
I don't know. I doubt it. I think that they're both going to have the same textures and stuff.
With the Pro and the Xbox One X.
Well, we don't know about the X yet. They're saying that they're going to worry about that later.
And this is something that, you know, as an Xbox fan, like I said to Bungie, whoever on Twitter, I didn't want to start the whole green. This is not a sexy thing again, but I understand marketing deals. But to turn your back or to take a quote unquote, you know, on those who made you or put Bungie where they are, I think that's a slap in the face. And for people who don't understand, you know, it's not about a console war.
Hold on, I want to point this out because my Brazilians tweeted this out. Xbox Milgro, props to those guys. I love those guys, man. Viva Brazil. They tweeted out this comparison between Forza Motorsport 7 and GT Sport on the Pro. Forza Motorsport 7 native 4K, GT Sport 1600 by 1800p. Forza Motorsport 7 700 cars. GT Sport 140, Forza Motorsport 7 30 tracks, GT Sport 15. Forza has 24 cars on the track at one time, GT Sport only 20. Forza Motorsport has dynamic weather and time, no dynamic weather or time on GT Sport. Man, that sounds bad. I mean, who here's getting GT Sport?
No,
nobody. I mean, like, seriously. And even if you're not a motorsport fan, you're gonna buy Forza Motorsport because that's the rise of this console launch. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, that's how long the game is development?
It's just disrespectful. I've been a huge fan of GT from the very beginning, and to see what PlayStation has done with this, it's embarrassing. Drive Club got more respect, and that's disappointing. I don't understand. How can you say Drive Club is supposed to be the Forza killer, and then that team is gone? It's finito. It's Kitons, and then you have the granddaddy of them all, GT, and the one everybody was anticipating. Everyone that's racer fans, like, okay, GT is going to be the shit. Like, when we first seen those 4K images, we thought that was the game, but we come to see that they were pictures. But then to see what this game, after it had been delayed, and this is all they offer, I mean, come on. And then another thing that's a problem that nobody hasn't been addressing is the fact that Sony just do not want to do crossplay. Not at all. Not even with Minecraft. You know what I'm saying?
I've been waiting to get into that, man.
Yeah, like, I mean, what are you defending this company for? I mean, I understand that you might like, you know, their exclusives. That's great. I like some of their exclusives as well. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of it is that for an overall company and how they treat you, look at how they treated you with No Man's Sky. Look at how they treated you with Street Fighter V. Look at how they treat you when you wanted your money back and get a refund. And you couldn't get that because they said if you do get a refund, then you better not do it again, or your ass is sent off. You might lose your account. all these crazy things, and you guys still want to shit on Xbox, and what for? Because I gotta tell me in the chat, please. What's the problem? Give me an explanation, guys, in the chat, for real. Because this is ridiculous.
And Sony's had the shittiest customer service since Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. I don't know what the hell. They get all that stuff though, man.
Yeah, I'm dumbfounded. I'm just going off and just saying these things, and I'm just going like, man, you know what? Shit, I might trade in this motherfucking raggedy son of a bitch. I'm like, what is this thing? Nintendo sometimes seem like they got better policies than what PlayStation do.
Wow.
This isn't right. Like, how can you defend some of the things that they do? I understand, because if you like Japanese titles, that's great. But would you sell your soul for a Japanese game? Come on now, Xbox, man. Have no shame. Come on.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. 20 people watching this live. Hit the like button for us, man. Hit the like button for us. We appreciate it.
I'm giving y'all plenty of material to make videos for Nick for this week. Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Go.
I see. What's called got leaked also. Shout out my man Rob. The new what do you call it? Lara Croft game. It's got leaked.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider confirmed by new logo again in concept art leak. Yeah. They got. I don't know when it was said Tomb Raider skipped E3 2017, but Square Enix have said learned about it the game later this year. Maybe they're gonna show their Gamescom. Yeah, you know what I mean. Which is I'm saying they got a new movie coming out in March 16, 2018. So maybe they're gonna put the game out around the movie. I don't know, but we do have another Lara Croft game on the way.
It ties into the comics or something. Somebody had sent me some DMs not too long ago, and he said that it ties completely into the comics and stuff.
Yes,
so.
Right. My man Robert sent it to me too.
Yeah, it could launch early next year, which would mean maybe they'll show it off at Gamescom.
Yeah.
It could. I don't know if it's going to have. I don't know if it's going to have like. It's obviously not going to be a timed exclusive. This one, but could be marketed with Microsoft. I don't know. I know the last one looked amazing.
I know, but if I was Microsoft, I wouldn't even do business with those guys anymore. They was
Yeah. They might change their tune.
You can't just start cutting people off of, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm not cutting them off.
You gotta do business. Hell, if I were Microsoft, I'd still do business with Platinum, man. Get them on board, you know.
Listen, I'm not saying cut them off, but what I'm saying, I wouldn't give them more money. You can have, as far as doing business in that aspect, marketing rights, paying for, time, DLC. Nah. I'm very bitter. I don't like the way they handled that thing. That was very, very unprofessional. You know what I mean? And they didn't do what I think the Xbox One version still outsold the PlayStation version. It didn't do that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Xbox One version at least had a couple million. I mean, it was at 1 million within 4 weeks of launch. So that was at a time when, people were really hating. Like, that was when Greeny actually, like, that's one thing I like about Greeny. Like, I'm sure if he had his way, he'd fucking brag and talk shit. Because I remember he was like, all of our games we released for holiday at least hit 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Forza 6 bomb, Forza 6, Tomb Raider, Halo 5. What else came out that year?
It was Halo 5, Gears Ultimate.
Yeah.
Rare Replay hit that year.
Oh, really? That was
there was Forza, there was Forza 6.
I was trying to. It was Forza 6.
Yeah, it was Forza 6. Yeah.
That's about it. Forza 6. Halo,
Forza 6, Halo,
Tomb Raider, and Gears Ultimate.
Yeah, that was about it.
And they had Rare Replay that year too.
Yeah, Rare Replay.
Hey, it looks like Killer Instinct might be done. Maybe they're gonna make a straight up sequel now. I don't know.
What do you mean?
I think they will.
Well, it looks like this is gonna be the last character. This Eagle.
Yeah, he looks dope though.
Yeah, he looks cool. Like, these are just like bonus characters that they've been making, but the game's going to Steam. So
what are your thoughts about that?
There's not really much to say about it. I feel a certain way that other people probably don't. I feel like their whole Windows 10 thing, they bet too much on that and the Play Anywhere stuff. Like, the Windows 10 store is bad, and people don't like Microsoft. They don't want to go on there. A lot of people are Steam, and they have their Steam achievements or whatever the hell they have, and that's where they want to play their games. And I don't blame them for that much. So I thought if Microsoft was going to have their games on PC, you might as well have them where people are going to buy the fuckers.
Yep, because there was people that was excited. Look, this is a really good time if you own a PC, a gaming PC, it's a really good time because not only you're going to get some Xbox games, you're going to get some more PlayStation games as well because Sega is basically giving the green light, saying, "Hey, we looking at giving out Persona 5 and Yakuza coming to Steam." So, man, boy, those fanboys out there.
2 games I don't want. So,
hey, you know what? I'm going to get the better version because my rig is a lot more. Well, it's not a lot more powerful, but it's more powerful than the Pro. So why get it on the PlayStation when I can get it on my PC? So, I mean, if I have to wait, for now to another year, that's fine. I don't care. I mean, I got a backlog anyway, so I'll just get Persona 5 there, and I would give Yakuza a chance as well because, I mean, I've never played those. I never played any of those games, but it's just something to have. You know what I'm saying? It's just something to add to the.
Guys, just gotta take a shower with an old man in a video game, man.
Come on now.
Tinky Winky.
Oh, they got that Tinky Winky. They got that.
No, but crap. What you were saying about like the Windows 10 stuff? I could see that on like that end of it, where like Killer Instinct going to Steam, but. Dude, can't you see the benefits of that whole thing going towards Xbox as well, with games like The Culling coming to Xbox, with games like Player Unknown Battlegrounds? I think it's a lot easier for them to bring those games that are on the PC over to Xbox, with their whole connection with Windows 10 and stuff like that. So I actually see the benefit on the Xbox side when it comes to that program as well, man.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't know. I'm just old school crap. I think they should never went that out. Listen, at the end of the day, I understand it's a business, and maybe everything that Microsoft does this generation maybe has been under a microscope. But I'm just old school. I think you should leave some things exclusive, or at least time exclusive to your platform. I don't really think that the day and date really helped them as much as they thought it would. You know what I mean? Because PC guys, they don't play no games, explode them, but they don't buy games. Exposed, you know what I mean? I think I still think it did more harm than good. You know what I mean?
They play different type of games. If anybody watched the PC conference, it just like the people that were watching it with me on Mixer, they were dropping their jaw like this is trash, this is pitiful, but they don't understand that a lot of the games that are really popular on the PC aren't graphically demanding. Like, why would anybody care about Hearthstone being 60 frames per second or League of Legends? You know what I'm saying? So, like, they were showing a lot of games like Age of Empires, which is also coming to the X. And people were like, this shit looks like trash. There was like a lot of those games where you like mech assault type of games, just RPG like. They just weren't into them, and that's just what PC gamers like. The benefit of having a game in PC is that you can, if you got the money to get the good shit, is to play the older games or like the more modern games, and you could get the better look. But other than that, I mean, what they like is like Goat Simulator and shit like that, man.
I hate that game. Yeah,
I mean, it's not my cup of tea. Overwatch is really popular. But I mean, they got a different, and they love indies. They love indies, and hell, ain't nobody worrying about 60 frames per second when you're playing Broforce. I mean, they might, but you know what I'm saying? They might worry about 4K textures. I don't know.
The fuck is Broforce?
Yeah, that's what I know. Yeah,
it's an indie game. It's a little it's one of them little 8-bit games. You're going around and you shoot.
It's
cool. It's cool.
Like it's like a Contra type game. But I said that make what you're saying. I said that that we're two different markets, and to try to even oh man, what's the guy name? What's the godfather of besides myself of Xbox? The guy that made the first Xbox. What's his name?
Black. What's his name?
But same as Black. Him. Yeah. He even said that that Microsoft had this discussion back in the days of the OG Xbox, and we're just two different type of audience, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Console gamers and PC gamers, even the type of games that they like. We're not really into RTSs on the console side of things, but that's their thing on the PC side, you know what I mean? And for them to release console type games more or less on the PC side, they're not going to do that well, you know what I mean? Just being real, they're not, you know what I mean? So,
I think they that was the whole thing why they were trying to mix the player base on Gears 4. because nobody plays it on PC. So they're like, hey, we got to do something.
Yeah,
my worst nightmare is they do some kind of bullshit like that with Halo because
now listen. Do you think they now, being that this happened with, like I said, with Gears, and they put, so
I don't think so.
I think
I
a
don't think
first-person shooter a little bit different than Gears with that because obviously a keyboard and mouse.
No,
well,
I'm saying,
not keyboard because
Halo 6
keyboard controls suck. Let's be honest. It's the mouse that's the killer.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna do that with Halo for the simple fact that it would be too much of an advantage, and I just don't see them fucking with Halo that much because they've just got the audience now, and it looks like they're really taking their time with this. They're not even going to talk about Halo for a long time. They're like, we're not even revealing this. It might not come out next year, so we don't know.
Oh, don't you dare, crap! Don't you dare.
Hey, they're the ones that said, "Well, it's not going to be
off. Let's go."
They did just have some turnover at their look. They got to get the campaign right. They've got the multiplayer perfect. Now they just need a really good campaign and don't fuck it up by going, hey, guess what? Let's go ahead and mix it up with PC players now too. Like you don't want that shit because that's what they did with Gears, and it's like they changed it. Like you used to be able to do like a certain way where you could just look for team deathmatch, say on Gears, unranked, and you didn't have to mix with PC dudes, and now you can't do that, which is like it's weird. Like that's my big complaint about Gears is they kind of messed that up.
Well, yo, check this out. Hold on, one second. My bad, D. Yo, shout out D is in the hangout. But yo, check this out. When it comes to Halo, here is the main reason why they won't do that, and it has to deal with the competitive nature of Halo. It is like the top dog. Xbox exclusive for MLG and stuff like that. When they do the competitions, all you see are Xbox Ones lined up row after row after row. They are not going to trade that in because of the mouse and keyboard and everything like that. They are not going to trade those Xboxes in for PC towers and promote that when it comes to major league games.
If they were smart, they would just keep Xbox on Xbox or Halo on Xbox and just do like with the Forge shit that they were doing on, like, oh, if you want to fuck with Forge, then go ahead. So I mean, come on.
Well, I think
can I just say this? I want to say on the PC front, the reason why a lot of PC gamers don't support some of these Microsoft games, it's not because of the games or the content, because they do like it. It's because of the Windows Store. A lot of them just don't like the Windows Store, and a lot of games, when they're in the Windows Store, they're missing a lot of features compared to the Steam version, or they get updates later than the Steam version, or it just doesn't work straight out of the Windows Store. So a lot of PC gamers, they just don't like the Windows Store, and they got a bad taste in their mouth from the old Windows Store as well. So they just don't like it. And as far as like the keyboard and mouse thing, I don't think they're ever going to do that. When they combine them, you'll be able to play. I would suppose guys that have controllers, and also keyboard and mouse support is coming to Xbox One. So I would suppose they're probably going to have different rooms where you could go in if you want to do keyboard or mouse, or if you want to just go against people with. I
just don't see how people would like I don't know how people's setups are, but your Xbox is usually in your living room. Like, who's going to bring a keyboard and mouse out and play? You know what I mean? Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. It's it's like trying to sell. Like, I don't see that being a big hit. Like, you might have some people go, oh, okay, cool, but I don't see a lot of people using it.
No, it's you know what? It's always good to have options. It's good. So it will appeal to some PC guys that want to get a console. Be like, oh, okay, cool. For the hardcore console warrior, no, that's not really gonna appeal to them. I have a high end. I game on PC. I fucking hate keyboard and mouse. I don't use keyboard and mouse. You're right. The mouse is great for fucking aiming. I hate having to press W to walk forward, press :/ to throw a bomb. Like, fuck that shit. I'm not into that shit. So
but unfortunately, if you play on a PC, if you're playing games on PC, you either got to do that or you're at a huge disadvantage. You know what I mean?
What I do is I have my Elite controller. So of course I use my Elite controller on PC, and I ramp up the sensitivity so that it's somewhat competitive. So I do okay, but I still get my ass smashed though.
Yeah. Look, the one thing about nobody should ever worry about what the diehard PC people are doing before, because if they are they're invested. They have put thousands up in their rigs. There's no way that they're going to go and want to spend another $500 for a console. To them, it's obsolete. Just when the box comes out, it's already obsolete to them because there's already going to be something that they can buy for $1,200 that will shit on it. So you don't go after that core. And for Halo, for any Halo to come to the PC, it would have to be the older Halos, like the Master Chief Collection, maybe another year or two from now when nobody is carrying Halo 5, probably a 2020. Nobody won't care at that point in time. But you do not bring out the new Halo, whatever it's going to be, and say, well, we're gonna add that to Steam or to the UWP. You don't take the flagship. If there was one thing that I was standing strong for, was you don't take Halo away from Xbox. You just don't.
I'll give you an example. When Quantum Break came out, I remember a lot of PC guys, or PC guys that had a PlayStation 2 were saying, oh shit, I'm gonna have to get the Xbox One for Quantum Break or for whatever particular game. And as soon as Quantum Break was announced as a UWP title, a lot of people, oh shit, I can get it on my PC. And they lost a lot of potential console sales from putting that game. So some games it makes sense, some games it doesn't. Like a Halo is like, if it weren't to come to PC or be a time thing on Xbox, it would be another incentive for someone to go out and get an Xbox One. But when you have a PC, it's coming to PC, what the fuck is the incentive, especially when the PC outperforms the hardware in the console?
Right. It would have to be it needs all the games should be timed. Like, I mean, they brought out Quantum Break on the PC too early. Sunset Overdrive is not on the PC. No. And then you got what is that? The game Dead Rising 4. That went quickly that was already in launch where you can
remember when that was supposedly and I mean it could still be, but everybody was like, it's gonna be on PS4 by next year, and you haven't heard a fucking peep about that shit, and everybody's quiet about it.
Right.
They're like, oh.
So they should give it time for all these games to breathe a little bit on the console, then send it to the PC. Like, I mean, if Sega is going to bring out Persona 5 and Yakuza, then that would look how long that those games have been out, and for them to come. And I don't think they're going to come this year. I think they'll come sometime next year, which I think that's cool, because by that time nobody on consoles is going to pay attention to those games or buy them unless somebody's just wanting to get them on the sales racks, man.
Yo, Mega and everybody else on the panel, man, we have been dancing around talking like consoles and then PCs and stuff, dancing around something I've been wanting to ask you guys, because this whole frames per second thing, and I know if you had watched Next podcast this past Saturday, we actually had
you did a 3-hour podcast, man.
GRG.
We did a mooch marathon, man. But we had Fonz on there, and he was talking about options. He was talking about the Xbox One X games, they should have options for like 1440 but 60 frames per second. And I went back at him, I was like, dude, I love being a console gamer. All right. I feel like we're at the point where that door is cracking open to kind of dilute the console space with PC problems. Now, how do you guys see that? Do you guys agree with me on that? Because we got people clamoring for all these different options and games. I mean, I don't see a good thing coming out of this if we keep going in this direction.
I actually have to disagree with you. I put up a video last week talking about this very topic, and I agree. They should have options because the hardware is capable of doing it. So why can I not have the option to do what I want with the hardware? If the hardware is capable of doing 1440p, 60 frames per second, 1080p, 60 frames per second, and both of those being with all the bells and whistles, why can't I have it? And let me choose if I want the game at
you're adding to dev time when you're adding frames per second, right?
No,
they have to rebalance everything out. Then
that's not true. That's something that console gamers believe, and I hate to break it to you guys, that's a crock of shit. Because on PC you don't got to do shit, and that game is at 60 frames per second. It's because the CPU that we've had before, not the Xbox One X, but before, was kind of anemic, and it just couldn't push 60 frames per second. Now they have the power to do it we got Forza running at 4K 60 frames per second. So please don't tell me they can't get games running at 1080p and 1440p with all the bells and whistles at 60 frames per second. Now your reaction time is a lot better in a 60 frames per second game, and it looks a lot better.
But David, this is the thing right here that that nobody's actually addressing. I said this in my video last night, and I said this on GRG because Fonzarelli has been on this shit. When him and Hebot got into that little scuffle, and then it was crazy because Don and Fonzarelli got into the scuffle on next podcast. It was crazy. Fonzarelli's been on
3 hour podcast.
But it was beautiful though. It was beautiful because we love the passion from our gaming brothers. But there was something that I said in my video last night where there's some shit in NeoGAF, and these people were talking about, these were diehard PC guys, and they were talking about games that were running off of those high-end graphics cards, only for the newer games, only pushing 30 frames per second 4K. They said the older games that's from last gen can push 60 frames per second 4K, but not games like the last Rise of the Tomb Raider. Like that was the shit that just blew my mind. Like, really? So, and we're talking about graphics cards that's from $700 to $1,100. Now, I'm pretty sure that there's shit now that probably could, because this was an old conversation about a couple of months ago, but it still is amazing to me that if PC gamers are out there and they're only hitting 4K 30, what's the problem? Like, I mean, why?
But they have the option to go 1080p 60, 1440p 60. Now, depending on, hey, if you're playing a single player game, it's not a competitive game, and you want all the eye candy, your graphics, or sure, go 4K 30. That's fine. But if it's a game, if you want more fluidity to that game, and you want 1440p 60 frames per second, you can have that too on PC. That's the beauty of it. And some people choose frame rate over graphics. It depends, but you have the option. Now, the Xbox One X, it has the power to do it. So why not give us the option to do it?
I think what they're trying to do is keep it as close to a console experience as possible. Whether or not you agree with that, I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that's what they've said. They don't want, like, console people like to stick to, you put your game in and the best and the best.
I got disagree with that. That's honest to tell you, for the 4K, I understand that part. I understand why some games will be locked at 30 frames per second. I get it. But honestly, PC has had fucking 60 frames per second as a standard forever. Well,
some people's PCs. I mean, let's not get crazy and say that. I had somebody message me on Xbox Live the other day. I usually don't respond to these. He goes, "PC's better than console." And I was just like, okay. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to bite. I wrote him back. I was like, whose PC? Mine? Yours? My grandma's? Whose? You know? I was like, it's such a broad term when people say that. Like, not everybody's. You know, everybody and their mother has a PC, but very few are any damn good. So I think that's something that people have to keep in mind as well. Like, people might be saying, hey, I've been doing 60 FPS and 4K for a decade. But, I mean, how can you prove that? And not everybody plays it at those specs. You know what I mean? Like, some people probably play PC games at 30. You know what I mean? Just going by Steam surveys, you can tell that a lot of people lie about their rigs because clearly not everybody's even hitting 1080p.
Right.
You know, you know what? I got to say on that survey thing, though, I honestly tell you, I wouldn't put too much weight into that survey. But in all honesty, ever since the AMD's RX 480 came out for like $200, most PC gamers now are playing at 1080p, 60 frames per second. Like, it's pretty much.
Let me ask about a question. So you're not for having the options in the game, for letting you choose how you want to play it, or what do you? I don't.
No. See, my whole thing is the more and more, like, this generation has become, you know, at first it was resolution, and then all of a sudden it went from resolution to frames per second, and then it's option. It just seems like there's people that are pulling stuff from the PC space and trying to force it into the console space. I like what they're doing with the One X in terms of their games. That they're leaving it up to the developers, and they're putting it out there like how they feel, you know, their game, their best experience for their game, right? Now, when it comes to the PC space, right, because of all the rigs, all the variations and stuff like that, I think the Don on the next podcast said it the best. He was like, there's so many variations out there that they just leave sliders on the game and they throw it out into the PC space, and it's like, you know what? Figure it out your damn self.
Yeah, hey, and Xbot, to your point, I will point out something that Albert Pinello said, right? And I'm going to read this. No complex, this is apparently going to be on the Xbox One X, no complex settings menus. It's a concept that hasn't really entirely been smooth on the PS4 Pro side of things so far. The support for Sony's new hard console has been haphazard and inconsistent. However, much larger hardware improvements and better dev tools could be a saving grace. That's something made doubly important by Microsoft's lack of an in-depth setting menu. It's something PC gamers have had for a while, but Albert Penello said it's not a good fit for consoles. What I hear from console gamers is, I like the ease and simplicity of just plugging in a console in, and the developer gave me the best version of that game that they wanted me to see.
Right.
He explained. I think sliders on PC are a lot more for the variability and all the options of CPUs and GPUs and memory configurations. I don't think that's Albert Penello. Yeah, he said I don't think that's the way consoles are going to go.
Well,
nobody's talking sliders here, though. It's just a simple toggle.
But D, but you're not
60, a toggle that has 40. It's a
D, but this is there's people that can get on their they like the simplicity of their PlayStation.
You know what? Bottom line,
with their UI, and there's people that have turned on the UI for the Xbox and get completely confused.
Nah, you know what? In all honesty,
don't like to mess with shit like that.
I gotta say this. I'm just gonna play. In all honesty, straight up, man, console gamers should demand 60 frames per second. Straight up, 30 frames per second is fucking trash.
They're not gonna. That's not
gonna happen. I mean.
Look, here's the thing. 60's better.
2017.
2017. But listen, I'm saying 60 is better, but they can't dictate that to developers that they got to do that.
But the system can do it, and because it's a UWP app, it's a fucking toggle with
some games, maybe, and we're gonna get that in some games. But I don't think I don't think that a lot. I don't think that the majority.
That system can do every game 1080p.
It can, but it's up to the developers. That's the thing. And CD. What you're saying is getting people that are already misled by the X, is making them think that, oh well, they're hiding it. If it could do it, then why don't they do it? But it's the developers that's making that decision. No,
gamers. No. It's console gamers saying, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. 30 frames per second.
That could be.
Why are they going to give us all these options? Just give us 30 frames per second with all. No,
okay,
but what you pay for it. If the hardware, you know what? If I have a fucking Maserati, I want that fucking car to do everything that it can do.
D, you play Forza Horizon?
If you know what, hey, if you don't like it, that's fine. Keep it at 40K, 30 frames per second. You're good.
Let me add my 2 cents in this. I see what D is saying, right? Mm-hmm. And D is what you call maybe the enthusiast, the more tech side of thing. And again, for the whole console thing, console gamers like sit on their ass and plug and play. You know what I mean? Or whatever. And me personally, that's why I choose a console, because I don't want to have to go patching files and all that dumb shit. So in that aspect, console things are still safe. Now, I don't think it would be that hard to give an option for those that want to use it. They can, and for those that don't want to use it, cheers. You know what I mean? So to satisfy everyone's needs. So for those that want to go in and twerk it and turn what down, or same thing with the HDR. Go in there. I'll give you an example. Playing Injustice 2. They fixed it out. It was shit streaming on HDR. It makes it look all dark.
Yeah, it was all dark and shit. Yeah.
So you had to go in and turn it off. So I mean, this is a toggle. So and for those that want 60, if they could give it, or whatever the case may be, Now listen, and for the developers, sometimes they can be very lazy. We all know. You know what I mean? The devs are not the fucking pope here. They have dirt on their hands. They have blood on their hands also. But if they can do it, and it's not really a problem, and give people the option to choose how they want to play their game, I don't really see what's the big deal. It's a win-win. Me personally, it's not a big deal to me. I don't, as long as I got better graphics, I'll take graphics of anything any day of the week. But that's just
I agree.
One title that did the PS4 Pro, I think it was Rise of the Tomb Raider. They had an option where you can unlock the frame rate, and it was like 40, 45, or if you want all the bells and whistles, you could have it at a lock 30. It's a simple option.
Okay, but listen to this though. Okay, look, to me, this is the thing that I was arguing with well, I wasn't arguing with, but just having a discussion with Fonzarelli with shooters, sports games, racers, 60 frames. Lock that shit in. Have it like that, because that's where it really matters. But for open world games like The Witcher and others, 30 frames, give me the highest textures and visuals, because that's what I think the developers want you to see more than having proper frame rate. We know that they could do both, but for some people, they rather have that little oomph to see way further in the sunset than to worry about moving a little bit faster.
But you're missing the point. The point is that the 4K 30 frames per second with all the bells and whistles, with all the draw distance, they can give you that exact same, just at a little bit lower resolution, 1440p or 1080p
with
60 frames per second. All those wells.
If they look, the vision
Ultra.
of the
if they can run at 4K Ultra 30, they can run at 1440p.
They might not look at it that way though, D. That's the thing.
Already coded into their shit because it's a fucking x86 shit. Okay, what's with them to do? Console gamers have been brainwashed to believe this. Oh, it's a 30 frames per second engine, or it's for the fucking cinematic.
No. You know what? This is what the problem with PC guys is. Let me break this down to you, D.
Oh shit!
Let me break this shit down to you. Let me break it down.
There's nothing to break down. You can talk in circles all you want. There's nothing to break down technically.
This is the thing. Why the fuck do you think developers shit on the PC when it comes to their games? Because you know why? They have a vision, and they come out there and then they make their games, and then some nerd that sits up there that don't work grab a goddamn game and alter it. You don't think that would piss somebody off?
Okay, you know what? Let me give you this.
When they take their vision up to the console, the gamers out here like, you know what? I like this game the way it is. It's fun. It's great. Look, if they give an option for 60 frames per second, I'm for it. That might come down the line. But when it comes to the difference between a PC game and a PC gamers and fucking console gamers,
let me wrap this around your head. Hold on a second.
It's complete as night and day.
There's not one 30 frames per second PC game. Wrap your head around that.
But there's an option for it, right?
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again. I didn't hear what you said.
There is not one 30 frames per second PC game. Every single PC game can run at 60 frames per second.
Bullshit. That's bullshit. I got the fucking shit from NeoGaf where these dudes is talking.
If you have the fucking power, it can run 60 frames.
But how much do you got to pay for that, D? To get fucking 4K 60 frames. How much you got to pay for that? Is it more than 500? Yes or fucking no?
Well, when Vega comes out,
answer my goddamn question instead of you trying to answer my question, bro.
But $400. Let me answer the question. Okay, you picked it with the wrong one. If you want me to answer the question, for $400, you can do 4K 60 frames per second. You take two RX. You take two RX. Hold on, let me finish talking, man. You take two RX 480s, you crossfire them, you're doing 4K 60 frames per second for $400.
Yeah, but you need a CPU though. You need to pay for a CPU though.
You talking about just the fucking graphics card?
Yeah.
But everybody knows you got to pay more for PC. That's not the point. Okay, the point is that nothing runs at 30 frames per second on PC. Know how much a fucking PC costs?
Hey, yo,
you could put it down to 30.
In the comment section, they got El Mega versus Lee. They can call this game. They call him Lee. El Mega versus Lee.
You stupid. Anyway, you know I got love for you, D. But you know that's bullshit. If you really look, that's making my point in my video. Is that if you really want the real shit, you got to pay for it on the PC. That's why them dudes are so fucking invested. They'll never go to a console.
And you can get 1080p 60 frames per second, 1440p 60 frames per second, all the bells and whistles.
My PC goes over 1080p 60 frames per second. But you know what? I put in $800 for this goddamn thing that I built myself.
What do you have? I have $800 is the right price for the minimum for that PC. Nobody's trying to.
Yeah, no, my shit is not a world beater.
You have a console over a PC. Nobody's saying that. But the point is that the Xbox One X has more power than a fucking RX 480 and an RX.
It's 500. That's what I'm saying. That's a steal. That's a fucking steal.
But it can do 1440p 60, 1080p 60. Do it.
It can, but all you got to talk to the goddamn developers. But the developers are going to look.
But if we have guys like you, damage
talk to some of these guys, and some of these guys block them. When they start asking us questions like that. If you come, you can be nice about it and say, hey, look, could you do this? Hopefully, there's some of these developers who listen. Now, that's the one thing that you can say about developers that are on the PC that's more partial to the PC. They listen to that fan base. But these developers for the consoles, they ain't seem like they're listening. They're listening to their wallets because they're going by the marketing deals from what we're seeing. No parity. So I'm saying, what the hell is going on?
No. These guys are not leaving it as an option because gamers are not fucking demanding it. Console gamers like, 30 frames a second, it's okay. They don't demand it. You have people like you. You have people like you damage controlling it instead of saying, you know what? Tell the developers, you know what? Give me a 60 frames per second option. Unless that happens and there's no demand from it from console gamers, they're not going to do it. But the power is there to do it.
It is.
Yeah, I didn't know you hated 30 frames per second so much. You must have hated Forza Horizon, dude.
I love Forza Horizon.
I love Forza Horizon.
But you know what? when I play Forza Horizon on my PC, I gotta be honest with you, it's a different experience because of the 60 frames per second. And you know what? I can run Forza Horizon on a fucking RX 480, which is less powerful than the Xbox One X at 60 frames per second, 1080p. So there's no reason why the Xbox One X can't do it too.
Let me ask you a question.
That's my point.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's because that we're saying the Xbox One, but you still have the standard?
Yeah,
Xbox
exactly.
In the ecosystem.
They already said no parity between frame rates. They already.
Well, that is a good point. That is a good point.
But okay, they say that, but are what developer in their
That was
right
me
mind?
putting the gag in D's mouth, taking it.
I mean, look, that's easy to say that, but then again, what developer is really going to split their player base on a console?
It's an x86 game, so it's inherently in there to scale up to what power you actually have. They don't really got to do a lot of work for that. They really don't. Because they're bringing these games onto PC and other platforms too. So it's there for them to do it.
Yo, D, check this out. When you start doing this, all right, when you start doing this and giving this option, now all of a sudden when the new Halo comes out, they'll be like, you know what? I don't want it at 1440p. I want it 1080p at 120 frames per second.
No,
like, you're opening the door to something that you'll never be able to close.
That can stay on the PC side. I'll be really honest with you. All these guys that want 120 frames per second. Oh, I got 144 hertz G-Sync monitor. You know what? That's fucking overkill. Really,
that's only
you only need
60
frames per second. That should be what you should shoot for. 60 frames per second. I'm okay with that all day.
But with that mouse and keyboard support coming for the Xbox, yo, I can guarantee you, if they start doing those options, you're gonna start hearing people say that.
Console gamers are never gonna ask for.
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying?
Hold on,
Mega, hold on. Yo, even Pandora's box, you needed to turn the key first before the door opened. All right.
You know what? Console gamers haven't had 60 frames per second. They just need to get that. I don't think they're gonna ask for anything more anytime soon if they get 60 frames per second.
If you're telling them it's because they're not demanding it, all of a sudden they demand
it. But it is.
Now you're gonna have more people demanding more, and then, like I said, you're gonna have that thing like in the next Halo where it's gonna be like, you know what? Native resolution doesn't mean shit, which we all know how much it really doesn't mean. All right, but then they're gonna be like, you know what, put it at 1080 and I want 120 frame per second option. You're opening that door.
No one's gonna.
You are, man.
No one's gonna ask for 120 frames per second off a console.
Hold on, D. My last point. I'm not saying that you're wrong on your thought process, but what I'm saying is that developers have a lot more shit to do on the console side than I feel that they do on the PC side. You know what I'm saying? So really, you're putting a lot of time. I know you're saying that it doesn't take a lot of time, but
it doesn't on UWP apps. It actually doesn't. It's a fucking check mark. Oh, this is running on Xbox One X.
Okay, but you're saying we're talking about with the consoles just themselves. We're talking about on the PlayStation. We're talking about on the Xbox. We're talking about.
You can't talk about the PlayStation because the PlayStation is running a completely different API. So the whole way they do their programming is completely different over there.
And here we go with the whole thing of with the whole parity shit, and then you revamp the console war and make it even more deadly. So I mean that's why I think that they do keep this shit somewhat controlled and leveled, even though we don't want it to be, because there shouldn't be no goddamn parity. It's never been parity in the console's history. There's always been a more powerful console from the beginning of since consoles came out.
Once again, and I'm sorry, it's gonna be tough love. Once again, fucking Xbox gamers, fucking happy to take it in the fucking ass. No, you know what? No, it is. I'm gonna call it the way it is. I'm gonna call it the way it is. Fucking complacent. Fucking PlayStation gamers, when the fucking Xbox One came out, holy shit, you better not fucking hold our system back. Oh, they tweeted all the devs, fucking petitions, all kinds of shit. Xbox gamers don't do nothing.
Okay.
Well, you really can't say that the stables stand up and speak for shit, because the only time they speak for shit, oh man, nah.
Well, that parody shit they fucking did. It was a huge fucking thing.
Look, I think that they will start implementing it, but I don't think it'll be on every game.
Why the hell is Destiny 2 not 4K confirmed?
That's the question. That's the bigger question. Everybody needs to ask.
The fucking hardware. If it was on PlayStation side, they'd be fucking up in arms. They'd be fucking. I'm not saying don't shoot death threats. That's just fucking stupid. Yeah. But I'm saying these guys would be going extreme.
Again, the vocal minority. You have to remember that there's a hardcore minority. We're the minority. So we can sit there and bitch all the day. But Phil Spencer is right in one aspect that the majority don't really care. We might care, like 60's better, but you can sit there and talk about it all day, but it's not, they're not going to implement, because Phil Spencer's going to say, nope, we're not going to force devs to do that. And that's basically what it's going to come down to.
Exactly. And that's another thing, like the biggest hitter games right now that's out there, 30 frames per second with the big open world. You know, the sports games, they're 60. Tekken, that's 60. You look at let's see, what else is 60? You got Forza Horizon 3, that's 30. But then, like, hell, isn't Drive Club 30? Or was that 60? Yeah, I mean,
Drive Club was 30, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, obviously, for games that are selling or games that's popular, it doesn't have that much weight on the console side. And I understand what you're saying.
It's because the console gamers don't have a fucking option. So that's what they get. That's what you get. That's what you buy.
Okay, look, hold on. Let me do. Okay, this is right here. The damage control with Digital Foundry with the Last of Us remake. It had that option. And what did those motherfuckers say there? They said, oh, it's better to play it on 30 frames per second instead of 60 because of the frame drops and all of this.
Once again, like I said, PlayStation has a different API. They're not as efficient.
But still the fact of it is that when people are listening to people like Digital Foundry and others and saying that 30 frames is okay, but yet you want more resolution, you want to see dynamic range, you want to have all that good pretty shit. That's what's king over here.
I don't think it's okay. You know what? Like, no disrespect to anyone that drives a Honda, but you know what? If you drive a Honda and you never drive a Maserati, you don't know what you're missing. But when you drive that fucking Maserati, you're gonna tell those people in the Honda, you know what? This Maserati's better. And that's what I'm trying to tell console gamers, that you know what? 60 frames per second is better. 30 frames per second is okay. It's there's nothing wrong with it. Certain games, it's okay. I'm not gonna like slay it, but it doesn't compare to 60 frames per second. And what irks me is that the console has the ability to do 60 frames per second. So it should be a simple. People are saying, oh, I don't want to be this slider for ambient inclusion, or should I put shadows on soft, or should I put them on hard? Nobody's saying any of that shit. We're just saying, you know what? Let's have a toggle, 1080p, full fidelity, 60 frames per second. 1440p, full fidelity, 60 frames per second. 4K, full fidelity, 30 frames per second. It's very, very simple.
Oh, yeah, but when we were saying shit about, like, hey, Killer Instinct is 80, 90 frames per second, nobody wasn't hearing that. Only thing they heard was 720p. So, look, man, I know the box is capable of doing it. And 720p
sucks. I don't really care. 720p is dog shit.
Well, the game looked great on my TV.
Yeah, the game looked okay, but on PC at 1080p, it destroyed it.
I don't want your great. Yeah, I got it on my PC as well, but it looked great.
I think if people want that, I mean, obviously, like, PC might be the way to go. I just don't see Microsoft, even though 60 would be better. I don't see Microsoft going, hey, we gotta have that option here, guys. I don't see Phil saying that.
I'm not saying they should mandate that option. I'm just saying developers should probably put that in their game. I'm not saying they should, I'm saying the option is good, man. Honestly, tell you, the option is good to have that in there. The system could do it, and I think they should leverage the full power.
Okay,
but that's my opinion.
But you keep, that's fine. I agree. There should be an option. But when you have the console leader right now being PlayStation, and their system is not capable of doing it, do you think that shit's going to fly?
Yeah,
especially with all the marketing deals.
Well, you know what? Just because they have the marketing deal doesn't give them the right to gimp the other games. It only gives them the right to have exclusive content.
Why are we getting Destiny?
And if gamers, like I said, if gamers aren't so fucking complacent on this side, it's like, I'm a nice guy. Don't get twisted. But I'm a little rough on the edges, and I don't like the softness. And sometimes on the X, not from you guys or crap, definitely not. But some of the other people, they're a little bit soft and complacent, and they don't speak up and say what they need to say. And this is an instance where we need to say something, not fucking damage control it, because the system could do it.
Be careful what you ask for. That's all I gotta say, man.
But I think most gamers are unanimous in this too, that they want the option.
I've been looking at the chat, man, and it seems to be a toss-up here in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, look,
like I said,
people that agrees with us. I mean, it's like, look, the thing of it is that, like, my boy Fonzarelli was like demanding it. You're like demanding it as well. And you're saying the option, Fontarelli was saying he changed it up too and said that he wanted the option as well. And I'm in agreement to that. But again, the developers are the ones that make these decisions. And yeah, we could go and we could write them, we could send that to them, we could ask them. But you know, when you have a developer like Cliffy B who will tell you, fuck you, how are you gonna feel about that when you think that, oh, well, I was just asking the question. You know what I'm saying? That's going to cause a whole bunch of can of worms that we don't want to add to this fucking fuel that we already have in this console war.
The fucking system could do 60 frames per second. Put the
I
fucking
know.
option there.
Okay, look, if Xbox was the console leader, I think Phil would be all behind it. But since
it's a new. Who cares if it's the console leader or not?
Because who got all the fucking marketing deals? That's what I'm saying. Look,
because it has the marketing.
Why is Destiny hampering what the power of the X can do for that game? Why is
because clearly if you read between the lines, there's clearly some type of fucking issue with Bungie and Microsoft. Clearly, because Microsoft birthed fucking Bungie. They did like the Xbox fan base built fucking Bungie, and all they do is give this side fucking shade.
Okay, so you do not think that there's other companies that don't have a problem with Microsoft as well?
The politics side, I do know there's a few companies that do, and I know there's a few companies that are pro Microsoft.
Right. So if you're saying that that all games need to have this, the first game that's not going to have this option is going to be the game that's going to be getting Xbox ripped because they can't do it, and it's not even Xbox's fault. So again, maybe the devs is trying to save us from the bullshit, from more of the bullshit that we're going through already.
I don't get what kind of bullshit they're saving us from giving us 60 frames per second. To be honest with you,
I'm saying, look, if Xbox is the console leader, it would be different, but they're not.
That's why I'm saying we have to get off our asses, start a fucking movement of our own. Like how Sony guys started the no fucking parity movement, we gotta start our own fucking parity movement too.
Okay,
I'm not gonna let fucking the PlayStation gamers say, "Oh, we're the console leaders, so you know what? The devs have to cater to the lowest common denominator. So you know what? I get it because they're the market leader. Fuck that shit.
Yeah,
it's a new system that has a lot, that has 40% more power than the PS4 Pro.
Fuck that shit. So when we stand up here, we stand behind the Xbox brand, and we're telling you the truth. We're not damage controlling the bullshit when we talk about Game Pass and things like that. You know this, D. But what happens? People hear one motherfucking negative thing, and it turns into we get people that we normally talk to on Twitter or wherever else. Fuck Xbox. I'm through with it because they don't have this or they don't have that because they listen to the propaganda. They say
fuck Xbox anyway, so I say fuck them.
Yeah, I agree. But the fact of it is that we have sensitive people out here, like you said, man. And and you don't think developers are going to be sensitive as well? You don't think that they're going to have a whole bunch of people coming in them, stressing them, and then they're already stressed out because of a game that they're trying to make, and then they got to make a quota and shit like that. I mean, look at what happened with the dude with Platinum Games. He just sit there and fuck Scalebound over. And then look at all how that shit turned out. Look, I'm saying it like I agree with Xbox on this one, is that it opens a can of worms. I'm all for the option, but let's give them time to see what's going on. The system is not
what kind of worms is this going to open up?
Dude,
you think console gamers are going to say, okay, now that we got 60 frames per second, give us 400 frames per second? Like, what are they going to ask for? Do you think they're going to say, like, okay, now can we swap out our GPU, please? Like, what do you think they're going to ask for? It's console gaming. They know what those that console
gaming. But you just said it right there. It's console gaming. And what
doesn't mean it should be locked at 30 frames per second. Seriously.
Not every game is locked at 30 frames per second, though, dude.
It shouldn't be at 30 frames per second at all. There should always be
man.
No, you're asking.
PC,
you know what? This is such
had 60 frames per second for the last 12
this is
years.
Passionate shit right here. Because every podcast that I've been on this week talking about frames per second, it has turned into this. And this is beautiful.
But it makes a huge difference. It really does.
I love this.
What do you stand with? Do you think we should have 60 frames? Crap. Crap's died. But listen,
he put his helmet on. He went under.
But listen,
like PC, no
bomb sirens and shit. Yeah.
Listen, we're gonna say this right. We're gonna do this. Listen, we're gonna do this. I see K Mega side. I see Xbox side. And I see my man.
Thank you.
Side. All right, no, I'm not saying I agree. I see your side. What you're saying. I get your point, and I get it. I think it's a win-win. If you want it, if they can do it, fine. If they're holding us back, they shouldn't. It is what it is. We're gonna come back Thursday. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna set this up for the multiplayer.
Oh,
man, D.
Come on,
listen.
man.
My man D got his points. Hey, listen, you guys got a couple days to get your notes together. Get your notes. And why console gamers should stay at 30 frames per second? D wants 60, and we should be at 60. Am I right? Am I wrong? That's the argument, right?
Yeah, man, we should be at 60.
All right.
An option.
All right.
No, he's asking for options to get to 60, whether it's lowering the resolution and then going with 60 frames per second. My whole thing with him is the fact that he wants those options. And before you know it, people are gonna be like, well, if we decrease like the shadows over here, then we can get more over here. So why don't we have an option for that? Why don't we have an option to lower these textures right here? Like, before you know it, you're just gonna get watered down, and it's gonna flow right into the PC community, and all the bullshit that comes from the PC community, it's gonna flood right into the console.
That would never.
You say it would never happen, but guess what? People said that console wouldn't have native 4K either. That would never happen.
No, that's not. Console gamers are not going to ask for that, because if they want that, they would go build a PC.
But if they're not asking for this, why are you forcing them?
Because they don't know any better, and
that right there is the problem with people that are pro PC. They think that we don't understand. We don't have an understanding about the difference.
What's the negative side of wanting 60? I'm like, or wanting 60 or
well, no, I don't have a problem with games running 60 if they run 60. They do. I'm sorry. But the fact of it is that the developers are the ones that make these decisions, and I don't have no problem with asking the developers. But from my understanding, from talking to people that are developers or that knows other developers, they're like, they ain't gonna try to hear that shit because they got other things that they got to take care of. Now, look, that's not all developers, of course, but there's some developers that you get into that mode and people start coming. You know how trolls come in and they'll say some shit and they take and they turn it all left. That's what you do not want. Look, to ask for the options. The system is not even out yet. These games are not even out yet that we've been talking about. Destiny and all the rest of them. They could have some kind of enhancements that will come later on down the line. I say be patient. Then once we get to a level to where if we don't see certain games get to like let's say the next Overwatch comes out or something, and then it stays at 30 frames per second, which is not, but let's just say that. Then you can make like that game was 60 frames per second before. Why did you dumb it down? Then you can have that discussion. I'm just saying it's healthy, but look, man, look how not toxic, but look how passionate that we are talking about it. Just think of what other people would be doing right now.
I think if we weren't making a big stink about this, what's the game? If we were making a big stink about Destiny, I don't even think they would attempt to do this fucking 4K. Now we're making a stink about it, like, okay, we're gonna look into it. You got people saying we're gonna boycott it. These guys don't want the bad press, so chances are they're probably gonna try to do something for the Xbox One X version. And I can guarantee you, if gamers didn't say, "Hey, what the hell's going on?" they wouldn't even attempt it. So you gotta let your voice be heard. Like you shouldn't be complacent. If the system can do it, give the option for it to do it. I don't understand how anyone can be against that. It makes no sense to me.
Listen, before we want to get the hell up out of here, and before we go, we're about to close today's show. It's going on 2 hours. If you think that my man D was right, everybody type in a 1. If you think K Mega and Xbox were right, type in 2. We're gonna close the show with that.
Come on with 2. You get it because 2 people. You know what I'm saying? K Mega and me, 2 people. Come on, hit that 2. Come on, 2.
Oh, D-Bats, come on.
Oh, D.
Oh, like D done nailed it home, man.
Somebody put 3.
Yeah. There's a lot of the same people though. Look at that. Look at this shit. Let's not say. Well, that's all right. That's fine. But I mean, look. If that's people that say it's 3, so I guess they saying fuck it.
Somebody said 69, 48.
Yeah, 69, 48, whatever. Like that's the people that don't care. Like this is giving me a good quality game. So
okay. Well, anyway, listen. Thank you guys for rocking out with Bgst. We're gonna get the hell up out of here. Well, it should be a very interesting conversation come Thursday. Everybody get their scripts and their memos, write their shit down. We out of here, man. D, before you go. D.
Yeah, I'm here.
Question to you. Anything you want to say about them cooler cores?
Oh.
We out here. Catch you guys on the week, man. We're gone. Bang.
4K Switch coming soon.
Peace. Check out.